Oh, that's a good
one. We're really hardy here. We can...
Are we? Hi, we are Derrick and Gayleen Beach. I am an Edmonton and area realtor. Gayleen is my wife and business partner. And today we're super excited to do our 5 pros and cons of living in Edmonton, Alberta. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of background first, so you go ahead and then I'll talk.
So I'm Gayleen, and my parents came from the Philippines to Canada, and my sisters and I were born here in Edmonton. And so a lot of the pros and cons that I will be sharing today is a reflection on growing up in Edmonton, but also now raising our young family here in the city.
I grew up in New Brunswick. So when I was 17, right after graduating from high school, my twin brother and I drove cross country out to Alberta, and we've been here ever since. When I'm thinking of pros and cons, you just kind of always go back. I think everyone does this. They compare kind of, where they were to where they are now. So that's always kind of the filter that's, running through my mind when we're doing this. So just to give you an idea of where we're both coming from with this. What we decided to do was we're going to do a countdown. So we're going to start with the cons, and we're going to go from 5 to 1. So the one being
The worst.
The worst part about living in Edmonton, but it's very subjective to us. Not researched, not scripted at all. So it's a little bit, and we haven't seen each other's list. So
your list was off.
No. Start at number 5.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one. So I put dry skin because living in Edmonton, it's something that I've always struggled with. Always my hands needing lotion or lip balm or chapstick because it just always feels dry.
Mine was, of course, mosquitoes. So this is very dependent on if the city of Edmonton chooses to spray for mosquitoes or not. So when we go out on a summer trip as a family, not only, because look, I'm very, very pale skinned. So not only do I have to think about my skin being burnt in the summertime, but I'm putting on sunscreen. And on top of that, I have to spray mosquito spray.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So it could be... Yeah, it can be annoying is the best word I can describe. They can definitely be a kind of a damper on your outdoor experiences.
Very much.
In Edmonton and around Edmonton.
Like constantly.
Can be. Not all the time, but it can be.
And if you don't get them all, like if you're lying in bed at night and hear that.
Yeah, in your house when you're trying to sleep. Awesome.
Great.
Not awesome. All right, so that was number 5. Now we're doing number 4. You had a good idea putting the number there, so I'm gonna just...
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Number 4.
Okay.
Oh, we're kind of on the same page.
Okay. This is something, even growing up, you couldn't get around. I mean, you could. We do have a bus transit system and somewhat of an LRT. It's not, but...
How can it be somewhat? There is an
LRT, but I grew up on the south side of the city, and there wasn't an LRT access.
Let's pause. So LRT is...
Oh, sorry. I don't even know.
I think it's light rail transit. Anyway, we have the trains that run across. Most of the time it's above ground. Sometimes it goes underground, but that's what we're referring to. It's a transit trains. Transit trains. Why am I using quotes? I don't know if I'm using quotes. Transit trains.
So basically, if you wanted to go to the movies or if you wanted to go to the mall and you didn't have your driver's license, you would have to budget your time for catching the bus and kind of planning out your stops and all of that. It's super inconvenient. And so even now, our city is trying to rectify this. They are trying to make the LRT come to the south side and go to places like Nate and like West Edmonton Mall.
Highly visited locations.
Highly visited
whether it be like
locations,
universities, post-secondary institutions,
Yeah.
the mall, the Rogers Place where the Oilers play.
So it is getting better, but I would still say it's something that isn't quite up there compared to other cities. Like, you definitely, if you want to get around, because our city is so spread out, a vehicle is the best way to get around the city.
You need a car. Now, saying that, it depends where you live. So if you live closer to the downtown core and you work downtown in those areas, you maybe can get away without a vehicle in the more mature areas that are closer to the central core of the city. But of course, Edmonton is very spread out. So the further you get out from that central core, the more likely you're going to need a car. This is why I mentioned transit. I took transit for many years when I was going to university downtown, and it's not great. They, like Galen said, they've tried to fix it over the years. It's hard to fix something when you didn't plan for it in advance. It's kind of like, okay, let's fix it.
Like an afterthought.
Let's patch it together and try and make it work. So it's not, it still has lots of challenges. I, again, agree with Galen. It's good. You almost need a car in Edmonton. So that's number 4.
Okay.
Now we're at the number 3 con of living in Edmonton. Okay, don't write it right in front of me again. Sorry. It's supposed to be a surprise.
Sorry.
Okay,
Got
ready?
it, yeah.
Okay. All right, you're gonna have to explain that one a little bit, maybe. Okay.
Some areas of the city don't feel safe, and the reason I put that one in kind of goes back to when we were first married, and we were living in that basement suite.
Yes.
In kind
Good
of more
times.
of a rougher neighborhood. So that feeling just wasn't a very good feeling. Just we had a little puppy at the time, and I had to just be super careful about not being out at nighttime by myself, and you knew that it wasn't the safest place to be.
Yeah.
But also, that being said, it all depends on where you are. So as in every city, there will be areas that you just need to know that aren't as safe maybe as other areas of the city. That being said, that period of our marriage was probably the only time where I felt that living in Edmonton, because the majority of the time we have lived in safe neighborhoods, safe communities where you feel protected, and this was just a certain chapter, I think, in our lives where I just didn't feel the same.
It was a rough neighborhood, and any city has rough neighborhoods and different types of communities, and that was one that we were in where like Galen was saying, you didn't feel completely comfortable maybe going out walking the dog at night. Edmonton is no exception. Like every city has those spots, so I guess that's kind of why if you're looking at communities in Edmonton, it's good to have someone helping you that understands the different parts of Edmonton and kind of can help you make a good decision on the location of where you're going to live, right? So okay. Mine was, my number 3 con is construction season, which is synonymous with summer. Or spring and summer. So this is a challenge. So in Edmonton, because the winters are very cold, and typically you can almost guarantee, at least from beginning of November right through to the end of February, and it can extend into March, it's too cold to do construction, like road construction and all those pieces. And so construction comes to a stop through the winter months, and then they have to squeeze everything in once it gets warm enough. And they have to rush, get as much squeezed in as possible before it gets cold again. So that just means that when you're living in Edmonton, you have to just plan for delays, construction on the roads, all those pieces when you're trying to get around. Because it goes back to like, you need a car to get around. But in the spring and summer and early fall, you're going to be dealing with a lot of construction delays. And it can be frustrating. I personally don't mind it because I love driving. But lots of people don't. You don't. No. So this is a great time to listen to other books.
There you go.
Okay. Right? Next.
Next.
All right, so the number 2 con for us of living in Edmonton.
Okay.
Okay? What's yours?
Okay.
Potholes. Okay, so we kind of just talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to say something because she did add something extra here. Potholes. Our winters, there's a lot of freeze and thaw cycles in our winter, so end up being a lot of potholes in the streets around Edmonton. You have to be very careful. We ran into that last winter where we were driving and didn't see it in time. Right with our van, drove right through a pothole, and we had to get our front suspension redone because it just totally wrecked it.
Yeah.
So that can be a big deal. It can be a big expense if you happen to hit a big one. It doesn't happen too often, but there's a lot of smaller ones. It's a problem. It's a challenge when you're in a cold weather climate like this in Edmonton, where you have those freeze and thaw cycles, right? So, okay. For me, number 2, cold snaps. We're having one right now, but it's only for like a day. But it's very, very cold. Today, I believe it's
minus 33.
It feels like minus 33 degrees Celsius. So what does that look like? Well, when you go outside, you have to have your skin covered because it can freeze in very, very quickly. I took Miley, our dog, out. We went outside just to do her duty, and we had to get back in super fast because she couldn't walk anymore. So you have to put like these little booties on to make sure her feet don't get cold too quickly. But these cold snaps, so they don't happen too often. But when they do, it just really, you kind of have to stay inside. If you do venture out, you just have to be prepared, like dressed properly for that. And usually, they're just really short cold snaps. I don't think they last too long, right? They're always the ones that we remember. We always associate winter with the really cold days. But the reality is the majority of winter in Edmonton isn't too bad. I think the average temperature in Edmonton during the winter is like minus 15 or a little bit around there.
One thing around that though is that our city doesn't stop. So if there is a cold snap or we get a huge snow dump or anything like that, school's still in session. People go to work, like everything still functions.
Yes, is part of living in the city, and everyone's kind of used to it. So a really cold snap doesn't shut down the city.
No.
Everything just happens as per usual.
You just find ways to cope. So most people would have like an automatic car starter on their vehicle so that when you're inside, you start the vehicle so it's ready and warm for you. A lot of people, they just know that in the late fall, it's time to change your tires. So you change to your winter tires and then you change back like in the springtime when most of the snow has gone away. So you just find ways to cope through the winter.
Okay. That was number 2. All right. Now we're at our number 1 con of living in Edmonton. Okay.
Yeah.
Inconsistent weather.
Yes. This is the thing about Edmonton. It is so difficult for long range outdoor planning. There's just no possible way to plan for what the weather would be like. Like, we got married in August and it snowed the day before our wedding.
Did it?
It did. You don't remember?
I do not remember.
I mean, it was 20
I believe
years.
you.
It was 20 years ago, so yeah. But
oh, you just dated us.
Okay, yeah. But this is the thing. From day to day, the weather, even within the day, weather can change within a moment. So it can go from bright and sunny to in the afternoon, all of a sudden there's a snowstorm.
Isn't there like a saying? Well, there is a saying about living in Alberta with the weather.
What is the saying?
If you don't like the weather, like wait an hour or something to that effect.
Yeah, it's so like we've caught ourselves even in the summertime. We're looking outside. We'll look at the weather app and it'll look like a beautiful day outside. So we'll pack all the boys up. We'll head to the park and then all of a sudden thunder showers. Like it's crazy. So even within a day, stuff can just shift and change so quickly. And then even within the seasons, it's so inconsistent. You can never rely on the weather. And so it's so hard to kind of plan like your outdoor activities based on that. So we're really hardy here. We can.
Are we? Yes, we are.
we travel with everything in our car. We travel with umbrellas. We travel with.
Prepare for every possible situation.
Basically anything we could possibly need for any kind of weather scenario, we have in our vehicle just in case. So that's the one thing that is hard, because it would be nice to just know that consistently for this month it will always be sun and shining and like it's hard.
It's hard to get that here. It's not predictable.
And then also the cold snaps I kind of put the cold at the bottom of mine. For how many years that I've grown up here and lived here, the cold snaps are difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Again, mine was the long winter, short summers. If you're a big summer person, it flies by. And it's good if you love winter sports, outdoor activities. That's the word I'm looking for. That works great if you're into outdoor activities in the winter, but the winter feels long. It can start, this is where it gets a little bit unpredictable, it can start in October.
Yep.
And it can last right through
May. Yep.
Potentially. That would be the worst case scenario. And so
we don't hold our breath.
Yeah. But this year it was different. So this is what I mean. It was unpredictable. Is that this October, our summer kind of extended, like really, like it was warm, very, very warm right through almost to the end of October.
It was surprising.
And then it was like, as soon as November hit, winter.
Yep,
Snow,
November
cold.
1st.
Yeah.
It was like the switch, and it was like dump of snow.
Because we were out for Halloween trick-or-treating with the kids on October 31st. It was pretty decent temperature weather for the end of October. Then it was, it's like a switch flipped. And snow, cold.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
I agree with you.
Short summers, it'd be nice if they're longer. But yeah, just become a winter person.
Yeah.
Get outside.
Yeah.
And when it's summertime, take advantage of it because it doesn't last long.
Seize it. Seize the day.
So those were our 5, again, you would have seen very subjective cons of living in Edmonton. And after a quick wardrobe change, because if you know me, you know I don't like to be in a collared shirt very long. This is my comfort zone. We're going to start now with our 5 pros, which are the 5 reasons that we each love living in Edmonton. We're going to do it the same way we did the cons and go up to our number 1 reasons, but we'll start at 5. Okay? All right.
Okay, so Edmonton is beautifully located just a few hours from the Rocky Mountains in 2 different directions. So if you go southwest, you hit the areas of Canmore and Bev.
How far southwest? How long of a drive is it?
So
I always drive, so that's why I'm asking.
So I might be sleeping for part of it. It's about a 4-hour drive. So
to Canmore.
Yeah. It's almost like once you get past Calgary and you see the foothills and it just opens up to these glorious mountains, it's just stunning. And then if you go west.
Yeah, directly west.
Directly west of Edmonton, you hit Jasper, which is also
it's about a 3.5 hour drive to Jasper.
4 hours. And same thing, just stunning views. The lakes and all the water is just so clear. The location, if you need a little getaway, for a weekend or something like that, we're not far away from just the most serene, picturesque scenery. And we've done that many times where we just said for a weekend, you know what, let's just get away for a little bit.
Bring your mosquito spray.
And your bear spray.
And your bear bells. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. There's great, like, whether it be summer or winter. So in the summer, of course, like there's the camping in the mountains, hiking, there's lots of trails, biking, boating on the rivers, whitewater rafting. There's just all these things that you can do in the mountains, and it's very close by. And in the winter, of course, if you're a snow activity enthusiast, so like you're skiing, snowboarding, those types of things, of course, in the winter, there's lots of those options as well.
So just to have that, just a few hours away is such a gift.
Yes.
For us and for our family.
It's huge, yeah. I had hockey.
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
This is not going to be for everyone, obviously, but I'm a big hockey fan. So back in New Brunswick, I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, still am today. But then coming out to Alberta and Edmonton, of course, once you live in a city for a while, the team just grows on you. So now I'm a big Oilers fan. I love watching games, and Edmonton is a big hockey town. That kind of goes in, maybe that I can expand that a little bit further. Edmonton, again, is a big winter city. Hockey is a big part of that. There's lots of other winter activities as well, but of course hockey is my favorite one. So that, let's be honest, my personal, this is my personal pros. So because I'm a hockey lover, hockey was number 5. So.
Okay, number 4?
Yes, number 4. Okay. All right, so they kind of go hand in hand.
So something that I've always appreciated about Edmonton, growing up here and now raising our boys, is just how our city is full of people with such diverse backgrounds and ethnicities. The understanding that goes with that mosaic of culture, experienced it in the classroom growing up, and now our boys at school have that same level of acceptance and understanding with all of their classmates from diverse cultures and backgrounds. And so I've just always appreciated that about our city and continue to do so.
Okay. Right, so mine kind of a little bit goes hand in hand. So like with the festivals, so whether it be summer or through the winter, there's lots of winter festivals as well. And I think always the big ones that come to mind are Heritage Days, which is celebrating different cultures
from around the
music.
world.
Then there's the Street Performers Festival that they have every summer. There's of course the huge folk festival, which is music. Those are just a few of them, right? But there's always, it seems like there's always opportunities to go out and take the kids out, go enjoy a festival of some sort any time of the year.
So much to experience.
Yeah, there really is. Okay, so this is our number 3 pro of living in Edmonton. Okay. Okay, so we talked about that one.
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered it.
I think we covered it. One thing I think we need to also add to what Derrick said is the vibe around these festivals. It's it's a really great vibe. Like when you go to these things.
The atmosphere.
Yeah. It's a great atmosphere.
That's part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eileen just ranked it higher than I did. So obviously the festivals were on a higher on our list than mine.
Loved it.
Mine, I feel like mine are way more specific. And maybe I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but like I had the long summer nights. That's one thing I really, really personally love about Edmonton summers is that you have these opportunities, whereas you have a long day and sometimes the sun doesn't set until like 11 p.m. at night. So you just have these long, extended days where it's nice and warm. You can build a fire in the backyard, sit around with family and friends, and just hang out. It's just because it's such a long evening.
Bike rides.
You can go for long, like if you're going out with the family for biking or whatever that might be, like any activities that can take, go further into the evening. They just make, I don't know, it's just nice. Like, because I just remember, I compare that to New Brunswick, where the evenings were just shorter. Like the sun would set sooner, and then you just have a longer, nighttime kind of thing. But the days just seem to really extend in Edmonton in the summertime, and I just really love that. Like it just seems like it gives you more opportunity to get out and enjoy the evening.
It extends your day. So it's okay. Let's enjoy our time as a family.
Yeah.
Even more, and it just extends that time together. So I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, so this is our number 2 pro. So we're almost to the top of our list here. Okay. Okay, these are way opposite. This kind of has to do with my last one, but yeah, that's who I am. Okay, you go.
No, it's good. It's good. What I love about Edmonton is you'll never run into a shortage of friendly people. And I've encountered this firsthand many, many times. This, for example, at the grocery store, because I'm on the shorter side and I always need help reaching something that's high up.
Top shelf.
Yes, and so I'll just ask some random person that's in the aisle with me, and they always just, give me a little smile, and we end up talking a little bit. And so it's always been such a pleasant experience with the people that you run into at the grocery store. This is very subjective, so I don't know if everyone experiences this, but this is something I daily experience, and so I appreciate the friendly people that are in our city.
Yeah. You're also very likable, so that helps.
I don't know, maybe it's just my height. I'm not as threatening, maybe. I don't know, especially if you're asking for help. I would never, and so this is something to add, I would never hesitate to ask someone for help if I needed it. Yeah. You always just have a helping hand that is, it's surprising still.
So mine was, again, it kind of related to my last one. And maybe I'm being a little bit redundant here, but sunshine. So I don't know what the statistics are, but I believe Edmonton is one of the cities with the most hours of sunshine throughout the year in North America. That's a bit of a saving grace, because one of the cons was how long winter can be. But winter is not gloomy in Edmonton. We get a ton of sunshine, so it might be cold, but a lot of times the sky is clear, the sun is bright, and that really helps balance out. Say if you were to go to a different province where it's beautiful but it's gloomy all the time, we get a ton of sunshine. So it just makes you feel, it gives you a little bit of a pep in your step, because it's like, it's cold out, but it's sunny. It's all good.
Pep in your step.
I don't know. Everything is always better when it's sunny outside.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's actually deceiving too sometimes, because you'll look outside and you're like, it's so beautiful out today, and then you open the door and you're hit with this wall
a blast of cold air. But at least it's sunny.
But it's sunny. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, so we are at the number 1 pro for us for living in Edmonton. So this is the thing that we love the most about living in Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
Ba-da-ba. 3, 2, 1. Okay. You're just so general. Mine are very specific.
So the title might be general, but I'm speaking
your explanation is going to be specific. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I love about our city is there is no shortage of opportunities to learn. So, or to be a part of something, whether it be a part of the choral community, the arts, sports, taking classes, programs, everything that you could possibly want, or to learn about, or to be a part of a specific niche community, it exists here.
Sure, yeah.
And so I'm speaking from when I was growing up, I joined, it was called Cluster Choir. And what they would do is they would have children from different elementary schools come together once a week and sing together. And so I discovered a joy and love for music there, and that continued into my young adult years, where I joined the Kokopelli Choir Association and found just ignited love for not just the music that we produce together, but for that community as well too. So I feel like there's no shortage of communities and opportunities to continue with your passions or whatever that inspires you. So I love that. For sports too. Like, that's one area that I wasn't quite as
Gaines very much in the fine arts, creative side of things, so lots of opportunities. But again, on the sports side of or outdoor activities, there's just all these different opportunities.
So much.
Right?
But also, I was going to say too, just with the free programming. So the Edmonton Public Library, they always have, you know, guest speakers coming in. Our boys went one summer and they had a magician there just for free, right? And I know a lot of cities offer these opportunities, but I feel like we're very fortunate to have those things because our city feels like a small city, but there's no shortage of the opportunities that you would find in a bigger city.
Yeah, it does feel like it's not a small city.
It feels like a small city. I feel like
it's over 1 million.
Okay, so it's not a small. Well,
it feels like it, which is a good thing.
Yes, it feels like a small city with big city opportunities.
Yes,
that's
because it is a big city. You get it.
It just feels like home, so it's all good.
Bitty. Oh my goodness.
Like a small city feel with big city opportunities.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's a good way. That's a good way.
That's what I said before.
Yeah, but did. So mine was again River Valley, trails, parks, green spaces, and again this is very specific. I know. Edmonton has a huge amount of green space. The North Saskatchewan River runs through Edmonton, and down in that river valley throughout the city, you got your walking and running trails, you got single bike track trails. If you're a mountain biker, in the winter you could probably go cross-country skiing and do all those sorts of pieces. So there's kilometers and kilometers of those trails along the river valley, and into there's other ravines in the city where you have the same types of opportunities. And then like the park spaces. So just getting out with family and going to parks. I'm trying to remember what the stat was. I think I saw this somewhere online where the green spaces in Edmonton are like 22 times the size of Central Park in New York. There's lots of outdoor opportunities to go out and enjoy, the parks, playgrounds, trails. I just started getting into mountain biking this past summer. And there's just lots of opportunities in the river valley or the ravines to get out on these what they call the single track trails, and all of a sudden became this new part of my life. I'm like, hey, I'm out here biking in the river valley, which is something I hadn't done before. But there's just so many opportunities there to be outdoors and
off-leash parks.
Yeah, the off-leash dog parks. Just to be outside enjoying these green spaces because there's so many of them throughout the city. Yeah. That's my number one thing that I love about Edmonton. So that is a wrap on our 5 very, very subjective pros and cons of living in Edmonton. And we realize because they're so subjective that you're all going to have your own ideas. If you live in Edmonton about what your own pros and cons are, please share those. We'd love to see them in the comments below. And if you are, looking at moving to Edmonton or within Edmonton, and you have questions or you need some help with that process, please reach out. My contact information, whether it be phone, email, will be below. Would love to touch base with you and help in whatever way you need. Thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciate that. And we would love it if you enjoyed this content to like and subscribe to our channel. That helps us grow our business. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.